Welcome back to County Connection. For our final segment here in the August episode, we are going to be talking about some great improvements at the Summit County Shooting Range. And with me are Aaron Byrne, Director of the Summit County Resource Allocation Park, and Brian Dennison from Summit Range Association. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming in today. And the Summit County Shooting Range has been undergoing a transformation over the past month or two. Yep. So we're real excited about that. We have a grand opening this month. But why don't you guys give us some background on the shooting range?
Okay. Basically, the Summit Range Association, the SRA, was formed about 3 years ago. And the problems at the range then were that people were bringing up all kinds of garbage to shoot. It wasn't really safe. So the county commissioners wanted to organize a group of people that were shooting enthusiasts that were interested in getting very heavily involved and to clean up the range and make improvements to it. So we
a little bit of a Wild West situation going on up there.
It was at times. Unfortunately, it was. But we formed the Summit Range Association. We cleaned up. Our first things were just to get the range cleaned up. And we did that. We instigated some rules that the Board of County Commissioners approved that you had to shoot only paper targets. You couldn't bring your washer and dryer up to shoot. And what we found very quickly was that the cleaner we kept the range, the cleaner it stayed. We didn't have a lot of people bringing up trash to shoot up. Mm-hmm. And from there, we started looking at how could we get more money to make better improvements. And we Friends of the NRA gave us money. We built a shed for the RSOs, for the range safety officers to keep their equipment in. We then looked at the CPW, Colorado Parks and Wildlife, and the type of grants that they had. So we applied for those. And over the next couple of years, we got some grants from CPW. We got some money that it was from U.S. Fish and Wildlife that we included with those grants. And then we went in and made up a master plan. Here's what we want to do. Mm-hmm. And of course, the money never goes as far as you hope it will. But we have a master plan. And then we closed this fairly recently to do this summer, this spring, to make those improvements, to spend that money.
Right. And before we get into the improvements, so let's talk about what was up there before, because it still has, even before these improvements, was a great amenity that was really enjoyed by thousands of people.
Yes, definitely.
So what all is up there?
Okay, before we made the improvements, the major improvements, we put in a porta pot, which especially the women shooters appreciated. But we also put in target stands with target backers. We kept a supply of ear protection, earplugs up there for people, free. We supplied paper targets for them so that they could, had the paper targets available.
Right, so you don't need to find your own things to shoot at.
And we also built shooting benches that we put up there with money that people either donated, recycling brass that we take down and sell down in the Front Range. All of this gives us money that we can make these small improvements with. So we had the targets set up. We had the shooting benches, and that was a big improvement right there.
Right. And Aaron, I'm sure you'd agree that Summit Range Association has been such a great partner to have in bringing this to the next level.
Oh yes, yeah. Several years ago when the board, talked about closing the range down due to all the, the trash and just, the mess that range was. I'm an avid gun shooter and outdoorsman, and I looked at that range, and it really was it was sad to see the leftovers, you know, and you know, it was, when we first looked at it, it was a good way to consolidate everything and keep it off the Forest Service land. But it was, you know, it was a mess, and there was just no oversight of that range. So having SRA come in has been a huge success. They, you know, it really kind of duplicated the score model that we also have at the landfill. Summit County off-road riders that, you know, they manage the day-to-day operations of the site and do a very good job. And SRA's been involved in this whole process with the shooting range, and the hours that they have put in, just not in RSOing, but the volunteer hours to make all this happen. The organization, you know, just getting everything to where it is today. It's what we talked about, some hours over the last couple of years, and I know things haven't been as well kept track of as we would like, but we're somewhere around 5,000 hours of just that.
That's amazing.
It is. That's a lot of hours of, you know, their volunteering time, and it's been a huge success. So
right, and also sharing their expertise and you know, giving safety tips and things like that to the users is great as well.
The SRA, part of our reason for organizing, we have been trained as chief safety officers. There's 3 of us that have been trained, so that we can then train range safety officers.
Okay.
And now we have a volunteer group that, especially on weekends and busy holidays, we have the range safety officers up there to give people pointers on what they should be or should not be doing. And let's face it, we're all human. No matter how long you've been shooting, there are things you forget or are absent-minded about. And that's what the range safety officers are there for, is to just remind people, hey, this is not safe, you shouldn't be doing this. And like Aaron said, there's been a lot of hours we've spent up there. We've spent over 1,600 hours in the last 3 years. Range safety officers have been up there. Volunteer hours, we've had about 4,500 hours up there. So it's, we spend a lot of time.
Group.
It is. It's people, you know, commend us on what we've done up there, but it's a lot of hard work by a lot of people to get there.
Right.
And one of the things that we laugh about too, in the last couple of years, we've had 13,000 visitors at the range.
Gosh.
And that's only when we've had safety officers on duty that we could count them and track it. And about 60% of the people that come up to the range to shoot are from the Front Range area, Denver, Castle Rock, Colorado
so it really is
Springs.
An amenity, a regional amenity.
It is. It gets, we get people up here from all over, not just the Front Range, but from all over the country. They come up to visit, and they find out we have a very nice range, and they come visit. So.
And that volume of people, I think, really speaks to your earlier point, Aaron, about the fact that people have an organized and safe and comfortable place to shoot, that it kind of keeps, when you're talking about 13,000 people, keeps that activity from kind of being dispersed far and wide across the forest.
Oh yeah, exactly. I can't tell you how many times I got, you know, when folks on the range come up and say, we have a range that we come to and we feel safe with our kids, the shooters, you know. I mean, the range is a great place for the youth, you know, to come up. 4-H uses the range. They, you know, so it's a great opportunity to get those youth avid shooters out there to where they can get trained, you know, and have RSOs on site. And it's just good to hear that, where they got that sense of they feel safe, there's roles, there's, you know, firing lines established, they got the right stuff there, and it just, the amenities to help out, and it's a good feeling. So we got a lot of good positive feedback from the community.
Excellent.
Yep.
All right, so now let's get into the fun part. All of these brand new improvements out there. Talk to us about what's been going on over the past couple months.
Well, one of the things we spent a lot of money on that you can't really tell is we had to improve the drainage up there. we were having problems with icing in the winter, and of course, some of the covering washing off in the summer with our rains.
And,
So that was one of the major improvements we did. But we also now have a vault-style toilet there, like they have in the forests, at the different camping grounds and
Okay,
things. So
great.
we've
So a step up from a
big
porta
improvement
potty.
over in the porta pot.
Yeah.
We put concrete under the benches for both the pistol and the rifle range benches. We put a cover over 5 of the 7 rifle range benches. So now we have a cover if it starts raining, if the sun's too hot. We have a cover that you can get under. And it's really getting a big reception on that. We also, while we were closed, we put together 2 ADA benches. We have a few people who come up who, used to struggle a little bit with our benches that we had. So one of our engineers designed 2 ADA benches that are very wheelchair friendly.
Great.
That they can use. That we thought was really a big thing we wanted to. And then that was money donated from CPW, and a couple of our members also donated money to put together those benches. The CPW grant went for the concrete and the roof and the vault toilet. Well, then we decided we wanted to put in steps down from the road up to the range, and that was paid for by donations from that the SRA had gotten.
Right.
And so the Summit Range Association actually paid for those steps. So.
And then, so that people really understand, it was agreed and just a natural surface. So depending whether that was wet or frozen.
It was very slippery in the winter. So it was a nice addition too.
Great.
So we are very pleased and actually proud of what we've gotten accomplished this last few months up there.
Yeah, and Julie, as Brian said, that a lot of the infrastructure underground this phase had to be done because we're looking at all these vertical expansions and permanent structures now on the shooting range and going forward with this master plan. So it was critical that we came in and did that infrastructure for stormwater and removed all the unsuitable materials and brought in good structural materials. So, getting that infrastructure off the get-go is very key to this project. Now we have these vertical structures that are permanent and they're to last. So we feel confident that with these grant opportunities that we made some major improvements, and it's going to be something there years to come. So
fabulous. All right, so you mentioned Colorado Parks and Wildlife, obviously Summit Range Association, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. What other partners were part of the project in making this happen?
Friends of the NRA.
Oh, Friends of the NRA.
Absolutely.
They were a key part of this, going through this process. Initially back in the day when the range was the place to go shoot TVs and tires, there was a lot of people over the years that really kept it going. That I'm sure we'll forget to even mention several of them, but the Boy Scouts over the years were a big part. 4-H, Eagle Scouts. There were several people in the community that just came forward and said, what do we need to do to keep our range here in Summit County? So they would organize volunteer efforts in the community, get kids involved. They'd go up on a day and clean the range. And there was a lot of that over the years that had taken place. Just local businesses that would say, hey, can we go out there and do something? And they did. And then it was when we got to a point to where, we need to do something because it's really the material left behind at the range. We couldn't have it anymore. It was just causing a lot of problems, and so that's when the Friends of the NRA, we applied for a grant and got some pretty substantial grants through that process, and we're able to get some infrastructure in place, and a lot of that helped develop this master plan that we're talking about. So when the county said, okay, let's look at getting a model like the SCORE organization over there, that's when we got that task force in place and started talking. We had a lot of public comment meetings. A lot of the public was involved, meetings, you know, after work, and we talked about what can we do. So everyone everyone came together and came up with the list of tasks and improvements, and then we actually went and submitted those improvements to an engineer and said, okay, let's put this on a set of plans and come up with a master plan. And SRA emerged through that process, and it was just a huge community, you know.
Right.
A lot of folks got involved with that process, and so yeah, there's so many people that have been involved throughout this, you know. I mean, SRA's been a big part of it. Friends of the NRA, Colorado Parks and Wildlife have been awesome. So.
And then another local partner, or group of partners, I should say, are the local law enforcement agencies who are able to use this for training for themselves. And they've provided a lot of technical support. And,
that's right.
And so has Summit County government. The county commissioners have been very supportive of the whole idea of the range and what we've been able to do. So we couldn't do it without them. Columbine Hills Concrete did a lot of the work up there this year, and they really went above and beyond to get this done.
Right. So. Yeah, I know they were big supporters of the project too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Great. All right. So the big grand opening is August 5th.
August 5th,
is that right?
Wednesday. Yep.
All right. And so although the range now with its improvements is open now, and so everyone who would like to hone their skills and get out and enjoy shooting sports and maybe get ready for hunting season can go and take advantage of all these new improvements.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Is there anything else that you guys would like to add?
Just the whole idea with having a public range is it does cut down on, you know, it's legal to go out into the national forest and shoot. Well, this cuts down on that and gives somebody a place to shoot that they know is going to be safe.
Right.
And that's a big factor. We know when we were closed, there were people looking, where can I shoot? And they want to go out in the forest and shoot. So this does cut down on that.
Right. All right. Well, thanks to both of you and the broader partnership that all made this possible.
Thank you.
We have this great amenity in our community.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. And thanks to those of you at home who have stuck with us for the August episode of County Connection. We will see you next month.